to watch it from Dimir. I think our Azorius player is having some technical difficulties with the stream. Alright, so it looks like we had some moles on the Dimir side of the table here.
Heavy.
Yes.
Bringing up that small land count in the deck.
Yeah. Right? We talked about that specifically, so. Here it is.
Well,
Now,
to be fair, the double memory lapse on 2 land, he could potentially roll the tempo in his favor.
yeah, but you have to try to resolve search here, right? Because you're gonna need some massive land fixing if you're gonna want to stay relevant in this game.
Very true. He does have search for Estanka, so
Yeah, memory lapse sucks here, but at least he didn't lose the search, right? He can still attempt to cast it again if he wants. See now, well, I guess it doesn't matter. Wow, double memory lapse on the search, so he's kind of on the back foot already, I would say, this early in the game.
yes, he is,
Because
and it's a double memory lapse. Now, he wouldn't know this, but it is pretty interesting to know that their opening hands must have been pretty similar.
yeah, actually, that's a great point. Okay, so we're gonna go with Diggin here. So what do you search for in this deck? You search for whoa, a land, a snow permanent land. Okay, that's not what I expected, but so he's thinking, okay, we're going into turn 5, right?
Well, notice that he's actually able to get his land out on turn again, and we did see that he was playing that enchantment. So if the goal is actually to get out a 2020 creature, he's six
Well,
cards away.
well, yeah. I mean, we got a ways to go for that, but I was more worried about a turn 5 Big Tef coming down here, which is why he did not try to replay. Um, of course, Timbo. Of course, man. Nice to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Which is why he did not try to play the Escanza, right? Because if we resolve a Big Tef here, this game is over.
Well, he does know that he is playing another control player as of yet. With 3 mana up, most control players would not try to force a Tef down so early. It would show an immature skill level.
Sure. Okay, so the Mirror Age's Slumber gets memory lapsed.
Oh.
I would have been tempted to maybe let that resolve, to be honest. But I don't know. How are we main board as Dimir against enchantments? Not great, right? That's not what we want to play against.
No. And with the brainstorm, it could be used offensively and defensively. So the fact that it was put back on board wouldn't necessarily matter if he had enough land. He could simply draw it back, place it back down,
I
and it
mean,
seems like that is the goal actually. Now that where it starts to get a little bit more tricky is the simple fact that our Dimir player has just one Thoughtseize in hand,
yeah.
whereas our Azorius control player has 4, and I'd
Oh,
much rather be on the receiving end of the Thoughtseize than me be the one casting it.
right. So, I mean, Big Tef has to go simply because we don't have an answer for him in our hand, right? Easy take. This is nice. This stops the search for glories. But that's really about it, right? Otherwise, we're just kind of exiling the opponent's graveyard, which I'm not sure even matters in this particular matchup.
It actually does. If you notice that he had a commit to memory,
He did have a
him
commit to
not being able
memory.
to
Yeah,
reshuffle,
no, you're right. You're right. That's a great point.
that's a major blow for him.
All right, so the ECD is gonna come down and end Ashiok.
So he
Search for
can.
Escanta has to do a lot of work here. This Thoughtseize actually is probably a decent draw. I mean, there are worse cards that he could have pulled off the top of his deck, like the Blood Chief's Thirst that he just threw into the bin. Interesting
which
choice.
has decided to bring up a little wonderful note for me. So I'm currently watching blindly.
Oh, nice. Alright, so the Faceless Haven coming into play here. So the 4 damage per turn beatdown is coming. Unfortunately, that is sorcery speed removal, so that is not going to do it for this Faceless Haven.
Yeah, that manlands have always been a very powerful piece of control tech. Watching it simply chip away with no real way of stopping it for the simple fact that it turns back into a land.
Right.
Pretty frustrating, I'm sure.
So we have to bend the Narset. Okay, now Brazen Borrower gives us an answer to Faceless Haven. Not only that, it puts a clock on the board. So
Well, with 4, it's only going to let him bounce it one time.
he can bounce it one time, but the thing is, he can take the 4 here, right? Or, I mean, this is my opinion. You take the 4 here, you instep bounce it so that he can't replay it this turn, right?
It's risky. He still has 2 mana open, so there's no real way of knowing if he's
Okay.
going to be able to.
So he elects to not. Oh wow, a whiff on the
Of his land.
Escanta. That hurts so bad.
Yep.
So he elects to take the 4 and not deal with. And
And with the
now
Narset, it's much harder
turns off
to even
Escanta now,
draw.
right? Oh no. Escanta's put into your hand, right? It doesn't draw. And then okay, Extinction Event also does not. He's considering concede here. All right. So here we go, game 2. We got a little mana screwed game 1 here, Fredo.
Yes, we did. It's never a real fun way to lose the game. If he had gotten his land on turn, I think the game would have been a little bit more interesting. Um, Seems to be taking out creature removal, which is a
Which
good
makes
call.
sense, yeah. I don't know, but we need to have an answer for that Faceless Haven, right?
Yes, and
So
as you know, it is
what do we
not
have?
the easiest thing.
Oh,
He would.
here's a cool piece, though. Thought Distortion coming in, and Nezahal Primal Tide coming in.
Yes. Now
That's a
the problem with
7/7 can't be
that
countered,
is
right?
he going to be able to get 7 mana?
Well, he only runs 18 lands in his deck. So we actually, how many lands are we running now? Did we pull any? We did pull the Seagate Restoration, unless he had a second one in his sideboard. I don't recall.
Which does count as a land source,
Sure.
not just a spell.
Right. Soul Shatter's coming in. Okay, one pulled back out.
So he has 18. He still has his 18 land. Um,
Hmm.
he has a distortion, which is an extra 2, which would give him 20. I do not see any other module lands.
Yeah, I don't either.
So 20 lands.
He's running a tight ship.
Very tight, and I do feel that it is
Too tight?
going to too tight. It require. You see
Yeah.
all the search spells that he's
Hmm.
looking for answers.
Test
But
the
unfortunately,
test the talents coming in here.
yep.
You see, I mean, I'm definitely not on board for 20 lands total. But you would think that with that few lands, he would run a bit more filter, but it looks like his early game filter is really just search for Escanta. And I think
Yes, I mean
that's only one copy.
he did have the brainstorm, and he's only playing 3, not 4.
Alright, let me see if I can switch to our Azorius viewpoint. No, but still not working. Okay, so we'll stay right here on our Dimir player.
On another side, we actually get to see what's in our Azorius player's hand now.
There you go. So we do get to see what we're working with. Dovin's Veto coming in, looks like, game 2. Brazen Borrower coming in game 2. There's a creature all of a sudden. I personally am a huge fan of Brazen Borrower. I love that card. I love everything about that card.
Do explain.
Well, I love to play tempo decks. I can't help it. Like prowessy type tempo decks, and Brazen Borrower fits that mold perfectly. I can remove blockers, I can remove hard to remove things, enchantments, and destructible creatures, and then I can keep the tempo going with a 3/1 flyer. Presents a nice clock.
Very true, very true. I would say the only drawback is to it is that it can only block flyers. Now, what's interesting right now is he actually took the creature. I would have taken the Ashiok. If he ever plans on turning Search for Azteca into a land, it's going to be very hard with Resolved Ashiok.
That's very
exiling
true.
his graveyard.
That's very true. And I think we will most actually. We don't have a land to counter this Narset, right?
Nope. Tapped out if he draws a land right now, which it's a tapped land. So
Okay, so we got lucky. That has to get. Oh, do we keep that to draw a land? So that we have Mystical Dispute ready? Oh, okay, okay. Wow, we got lucky again.
see right now because he's playing control player. Unfortunately, even though he wants to go out there, I believe he made the right play. He's hoping
Yep.
that he's able to counter that next spell.
Or do you let it resolve and hit it with the Soul Shatter?
You don't want to two of it. If you can stop it from hitting the board, you're already you're ahead.
Sure.
If it hits the board,
they
as
get an
control
activation.
player,
Yeah, it's a good point. All right, so wow. So Search is doing it for us. It's giving us our land. So now we get to Davriel and hold Mystical Dispute, which our opponent does not know about because they do not run discard. Ooh, that is rough. But we knew about that, didn't we? Didn't we know about that Dovin's Veto?
But I believe he hit his hand when he brainstormed, so we knew that he had one at one point. We didn't know if he tucked it or not.
Got it. Yeah, right. So that's how that works. I was wondering why I couldn't see those cards anymore. Okay. Alright, Dispute here protects our Ascanta, which we kind of need this card to flip at this point. We also probably kind of want to draw that. No, we throw it. Okay. For the transform.
Well, he can actually play his Ashiok. And right now, with one land, it's highly unlikely that he's going to be able to counter. And with the resolved creature.
So we need to hope opponent doesn't have an Elspeth Conquers Death here, which they showed in game 1. We are vulnerable, of course, tapped out. Yes, Timbo, I did hit affiliate. Thank you for noticing. Appreciate you, bro. Good to see you. Alright, so Narset comes down, which, you know, we aren't super pumped about, but then again, we aren't presenting any card draw at this particular moment in time.
No, the Azorius player definitely feels a dire situation coming along. He's, as a control player, very rarely would you ever brainstorm on your own turn. He's looking for something.
We have a protected Ashiok at this point, so outside of straight up removal, this Ashiok is posed to do some damage.
Yes. Now here's a question: do you go after Narset and prevent him from activating it again, or do you start to go for damage?
Absolutely, you take one tick off of Narset here.
I agree.
You can't let him dig for his answer to Ashiok, because right now Ashiok is our win con.
I agree.
And we both are wrong, according to Dimir player. Wow, he exiled the Ugin. Crazy.
That's
Crazy.
that's a bummer. But yes, he is allowing him to potentially.
So this is interesting because we can force another discard here and elect to, instead of dealing damage with creatures, we could remove Narset with Soul Shatter if we fear the card draw.
True, but this also shows right now he didn't value his Narset. He believes Narset will be killed. Did not value it.
Yeah, I just have a hard time seeing how 2 damage is better than not letting him find a card off Narset, but we'll see. So now he gets to dig with, completely untapped mana pool, and we don't have a counter spell for. Okay, so how many snow permanents do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 6. Merit Lage's Slumber makes 7. So he's 3 snow permanents away, Fredo, from having a 2020 indestructible flyer, but we have Soul Shatter. Okay, now that's an issue. So this bounces, or does he just say, forget it and draw?
He's going. Yep.
Third from the top. Okay. So here, at this point, we can probably. Okay, now I'm confused.
About.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. He does not need to Soul Shatter because he can swing with the 2/3. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a heads up play.
So his plan, it seems like, was to keep the Narset on, and then he has 6 land. What he was going to attempt to do was get rid of his hand
Yeah.
while refreshing his own. He's
Okay.
forced to give Chris a full hand.
He is forced to give Chris a full hand here, right?
Or the Dimir player.
So here we find another snow permanent, putting us 2 away from the ticking time bomb. But, fun
It
fact, if
also
he doesn't have any other permanents on the board, Soul Shatter removes this 2020 flying indestructible.
he can block.
He doesn't need to block. He can just kill it with Soul Shatter, right?
Yes, but the Azorius player could have also blocked the with his man land.
Ah, yes, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Now, what's interesting is that thought distortion.
Oh, wow. We did just top Thought Distortion. This card might just end the game.
Uh, I believe so. He can't counter it.
Because look at our hand. Look at our hand. And we can follow
But
this up with a
notice,
Thoughtseize.
what the Azorius player is doing now. He's using Brainstorm defensively. He just tucked 2 cards in
That he
there
wants to keep.
that
Yep.
he wants to keep.
So now his hand's full of land. We did hit 4 cards, or 3 cards.
Yeah, it's unfortunate we can't really check in on that, but I didn't really get a good glimpse of
Right.
those cards. But the fact that every time he swings in, he's going to mill the cards from the top of his deck, or he is definitely going to be in.
Alright, so here makes Snow Permanent number 9 coming in.
And he's going to get number 10. Now, we do have what's that card?
Okay.
Interesting.
None of these cards
Prevent
answer
that.
our 2020 indestructible outside of Ashiok Nightmare Muses minus, right? That's what we need for the 2020 flyer.
Yes.
That is bad news, Bears. That is not something. All right. Yikes. We're in a world of hurt. What do we have left here, Fredo? What are our options here?
Honestly, we can't really. Maybe we could ask the Dimir player to look over at his library and see how many cards are actually left in his library. His A viable option might be just to race and get rid of all his answers. Get rid of. Swinging in right here.
We can't do because of the Faceless Haven, so we just lose a 2/3 straight up.
Yes.
All right, so here comes.
He's trying to bait it. And again, he is going for that Ashiok.
Okay, so we double block here. Take one with us.
We did get an Ashiok and our set. The memory lapse.
That's
some
-1
check.
snow permanent on the board. I find that interesting.
Oh, there's another right there. And
So
he is getting the scry.
we're still one away.
Yes.
So I'm confused. Now, man, we keep topping these discard spells, and it is brutal.
Well, he did brainstorm. It's one of the downsides of brainstorm. If you have no way to filter,
Sure.
you just can
Get the
throw
cards
some
you don't
cards
want
on
back.
top of your deck and
Draw them next turn.
get
Right.
them right back.
Yep. Very true.
Now the Dimir player does have a lot of card filter, so I think he has forgotten that he could actually be searching the top of his deck.
Yeah, he
with
may
the
have.
flip over.
It's been a minute, right?
And there have been a few turns where he hasn't had any real answers or anything that he could have done. But
That's
he
an
is looking
excellent
for some
point.
more information.
I mean, we have to assume opponent's going to get a 2020 indestructible right now, and we need to keep up the mana to dig for our answer, right? So here
Oh,
we're expending mana on Mordigo, and I guess we have one turn after this, right? So the 2020 is going to spawn next turn.
wow.
Did he just choose Fabled Passage?
He did.
I'm not sure how I feel about that line of play. It's nice we get to hit him with a discard right away, and we do have counter spells up. Wow, that is a nice play, or I mean that was a ballsy play straight up, right? Now that Ondu inversion, is that all non-land permanents? Or
Yeah, and there
invasion,
it
or whatever it
goes.
is? So here comes our 2020. No? Oh, it checks at upkeep, doesn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
It's definitely a bit more closer
Yeah,
this game than.
we've got a game. Well, it helps when you don't have to mull down the 5, right?
Now, see, did he bring in that Ulamog this game?
Mm-hmm. That's a sideboard card. That's a cheeky one, too.
Yeah, if you're gonna go big, go bigger.
Yeah, right.
So I do believe that this memory lapse is going to give us the game right here for the Dimir player. It doesn't even matter what he plays. He simply gets to
We can hold
bounce
our...
it back.
We have the Escanta. Okay, so he's going to dig now.
I think he just remembered what he had, so...
A second Davriel on the board is going to increase this clock, but I like the take of the Brainstorm here.
Now, I'm thinking one of the only things that not only is there a 2020 with flying,
And
he does also
indestructible.
have that man land out.
Right. Very true.
Interesting. He's going to destroy all non-land permanents.
Which...
So he was willing to get rid of his 2020.
Well, no, it's indestructible.
Correct.
Yeah, so he was going to destroy everything except for his 2020 flying indestructible.
Now, I don't know if I would have done that. There we go. There we go.
Perfect. So this was a nice swing for us, with one caveat. With this Brainstorm, we need to find an answer to that 2020. Maybe Salundi Vision can find it for us.
Narset could also, potentially.
Yeah, but I think Salundi lets us see more cards, doesn't it?
Yes.
So
But when in doubt, play both.
Right. Okay, that one first. Okay, those don't do it. So we have a number of answers here. Soul Shatter, we did not find any. That is game. That is game. We just lost. Oh no. Oh.
So upsetting.
Oh no.
All I've left you is
Stinky cheese. Stinky cheese in the chat. Man, bummer. Smacked in the face. And here's the true bummer of what we just witnessed. He just got to dig through 11 cards for one of like 5 answers and didn't find any.